Hello, hello, hello. Thank you all so much for joining the Get Your Guy Coaching podcast. I have a very special guest. It's one of my clients. Her name is Shirley, and we are going to talk all about her journey on this episode today. Shirley, thank you so much for joining me, girl. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing, Coach Anwar.
And why are you doing so amazing, girl?
Well, just a few days, it hasn't even been a week, but just a few days ago, with the help of you and Get Your Dial coaching, I got engaged.
Yay, baby. Congratulations, girl. So happy for you. How you feeling? What's the tea?
I feel, I feel euphoric. I feel loved. I feel supported. I feel like I'm on cloud nine. My head is in the heavens. I feel blessed. I feel like there's nothing I can't do or have. I feel hopeful.
I love it. I love it. I love a good feeling, girl. I love my feeling, and you have all of them. So I'm super happy
Yes.
about this. I'm so glad that you were open to kind of sharing your journey and experience because I think it's important for so many of my listeners out there to understand that dating is part of it, but you also gotta be prepared for this whole relationship thing and getting to, potential engagement and marriage, right? I know that many of us are at the dating phase, but I do think it's a journey, and I wanted to kind of share your journey with the ladies if you would allow me.
Absolutely. Yes. Dating is like the seed. It's the beginning.
Yes, yes, very much so. Okay, well, why don't you introduce yourself? Why don't you let the girls know where you're from, what you do, and your age, if you feel comfortable sharing that, no pressure, and we'll go from there.
Mhm. For sure. So I'm originally from Connecticut, but I live in New York, in Brooklyn, New York. I've been living in New York for about 20 years, minus 1 to 2 years. I went to Dallas and did a sprint for a little bit for work. I run a content studio where I service Fortune 500 brands and their creative strategy and content creation, supporting them with having that impact in the sports, tech, health, and wellness sector. And yeah, I'm 39 years old. I just turned 39 a few months ago. So in about a year, I'll be entering the big 40.
Yes, girl, and it's beautiful over here. So we'll welcome you with open arms. Thank you for sharing that. So maybe let's talk a little bit about how you were introduced to me and get your guy. Like, how did that all come about?
Yeah, I back in 2022 and 2023, both of my parents, they got critically ill. My mother developed a brain injury. My father developed blood cancer. And for 2 years, I became not only a full-time entrepreneur, but also a full-time caregiver. And every bit of time, energy, all my resources was going into serving my parents, going into serving my family, going into serving my clients. And so I had a birthday come up. I think it was my 36th or 37th birthday. And I was like, I'm doing something completely different. I'm going to go to Joshua Tree in California. And I'm going to, you know what I love to do, Anwar, pray,
Yes,
meditate,
girl. Yes, girl.
and journal by myself. I'm going to do hikes. I'm going to eat clean food. There's no social media. There's nothing, no distractions. So I did that for 5 days, 4 nights. And in this, I came out and I realized, oh my gosh, my entire my entire existence has been devoted for these past 2 years to just serving and taking care of people. I had not given my number out. I hadn't gone on a date. Nothing. Everything was dry. My phone, my vagina, my mouth,
Uh-uh.
everything.
No, ma'am.
Dry, desert.
Mm.
And so I came home and then I went to one of my really close friends' house, who is also one of your clients. And I was like, hey, I just went on this journey. This is what I'm seeing. And I'm also a person, I invest in self. I invest in myself. I don't care what it costs. If it's going to help if it's going to help advance me and get me where I want, I put the investment into it. And I was like, I think I need a dating coach. I was like, have you ever heard of that? And she was like, girl, I got a dating coach. I was like, what? And she was like, I was like, I just thought this was like, I didn't know this was a real thing.
Yeah.
And then she was like, yeah, Anwar White. And I was like, give me his phone number or his email or whatever. And so that's when I reached out to you immediately. And then I scheduled a consultation. I wasn't familiar with your socials. I wasn't familiar with your content. I just had this friend who was working with you and I trusted her. So
Mhm.
then I did some research. I still hadn't seen any of your socials. I went on your website, scheduled a consultation, and then me and you did a 20-minute consultation. And then
Yeah.
that was like that jumpstart our relationship.
Yeah, definitely. I remember that conversation too, because I was actually in New York at the time and I was doing a talk with Jack and Jill in the Connecticut, New York region. And I came right back and we had that consultation and it was really good. Do you remember any of it?
Yeah, I remember your presence. You were so uh attuned to me. You were asking really smart questions that was making me think. You were asking questions I never heard before, like, tell me about your boundaries. I was like, my boundary.
And
Huh. I know how to spell boundaries, but I don't know what that
right.
really means. So you were asking things I hadn't thought of before, I hadn't heard of before. And I remember being appreciative for how thoughtful and caring. I felt like I was being in 20 minutes being held with like kid gloves or white gloves. And I was connected to someone who was very like curious about me and my history and how I got here. So those were some of the things that I remember about our call.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yes, I remember you also saying like, "Oh yeah, no one's ever really asked me this before. Okay, let me think about this. Give me a second. Let me think." Right?
Yeah.
And what I loved even about that consultation, but obviously the work that we've done together is your openness to new and different things, possibilities, perspectives, just being coachable. Like I think myself, Coach Shirley, we're always about, if we have people that are coachable, we're gonna rock it, right? And so your coachability, I think, just been so amazing throughout this process. Let's talk about actually starting to work together. Yeah, because it was the beginning part was very interesting. Meaning, in my program, we date online and offline, and we were having some feelings about online dating. So let's talk about maybe the beginning of working together.
I was so resistant to online dating. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing like, and it's so funny. I, it was my therapist who had to remind me that I am a coachable person because I was, I don't even know how, or I just fell in the trap of being resistant and then becoming conscious that I was being resistant. And I was like, this is not who I am. I get to like give over to this process. But it was really hard for me. I want to say I engaged with you either October, November of 2023. And for about 3 to 4 weeks, I was very resistant to the online coaching for going to do the online dating. And then through some work and me just trying and trying, something switched when I realized I was being I'm not. And I was like, okay, I listen, good coaching is counterintuitive. I got to do it. I got to do something different.
Yeah, 100%. I always say you have to do a different thing for a different result, right? And as you know, and maybe you can tell the girls out there, we do a lot of things very differently in this program, right? Probably the complete opposite of how you've ever done dating before. Yeah. Do you want to speak to that just like a little bit about just like maybe not the specifics because I don't want to give my whole program away, girl, but
Yeah.
just like the process of like having to do such different things that you had never done before?
Yeah, it was so hard. I used to being out in the wild for
Mhm.
30 plus something years, right? You go to a party, you flirt, somebody gives you a drink, you pass information. I am, I'm a doer. I run a business. I want something done, I go do it. I'm at her brand, I'm sending a text, giving a call. I'm taking initiative. I'm there is no boundaries. It's whatever he wants, whatever I want. It's getting inputs from family, friends, and whoever else is on social media. In your program, there are rules. There are boundaries. There is a framework. You're not gonna come in this house and just run all over my
Doing
carpet with
them.
your shoes
Yeah.
on.
Sit your behind down before you get a whooping.
Yeah, there is a system down to, how those initial conversations in a in the dating app thread, from how you get to the dating app to phone, how you get from phone to in person. So everything is so systematized, but I learned to love it because it kept me protected. It literally kept me so safe. And I remember for a while, I felt still safe, unsafe in the dating world because I was like, I know I don't know what I'm doing. There's really no one out here to guide me, and I'm just rolling the dice. But the framework and the program that you've built and you've made available to us, it literally is designed to keep the weeds out, keep the junk out, and keep us safe.
Yeah.
And in that, right, we get to have fun and have joy and play because there's safe walls up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And for you, those safe walls really force you to stop doing so damn much
Yes.
and sit into that
Yes.
feminine girl.
For
Okay.
sure. I really got an opportunity to relax, um, to let go,
Mhm.
and in all that, to see who really had the space for me, right? Who were the masculine men who would really take joy and have a lot of enthusiasm on just watching me relax, watching me be still, watching me just sit pretty and bat my eyes.
That's right.
Still,
That's right. I love that. So I think we definitely worked on that feminine energy. We obviously worked on some boundaries as well.
for sure. For
I
sure.
know that earlier in this episode, you talked about, we talked about first, we were really talking about work, right? We talked
Yeah.
about work when we first started working together. Then we shifted over to like family and friends as well. I remember very intimately that we were talking about, I think, some family boundaries. I was actually, so the ladies maybe don't know this, but when you're in my VIP program, you have 24/7 access to me. So, girl, don't you know I was in the amusement park with my family, with my kids? You might have heard the roller coasters in the background. And we were talking about those boundaries that we needed to do down south.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Because
Right.
first of all, the VIP program, like me and my friends, the community that I've made in your program, we all like that was being able to contact you at 11 o'clock tonight after a date or 8 o'clock in the morning. I wake up and my head is on swivel and I'm spiraling out of control. And I have you in my ear immediately, soothing me, calming me down, giving me advice, helping to guide me through a friendship problem. Because all this stuff,
All
it
connected.
relates, it translates everywhere. A family problem. So I don't know how anybody is not functioning with that kind of access because it was the thing that supported me the most. My favorite thing about the program was having that access to you. But yeah, I didn't grow up with boundaries at all. So you can only imagine I don't have boundaries with, or I grew up in a place where I didn't have boundaries with my mom, my dad, my sister, and then crisis comes with no boundaries, it just amplifies the crisis. So you, before I even got to dating with boundaries, you were able to help me in those like family arenas where we were experiencing crisis. And hey, Shirley, I think there's an opportunity for you to implement a boundary here, implement a boundary there. And then I was able to sleep more and people started respecting me more. The respect and the ease and all that stuff because of boundaries, a concept I hadn't even heard of before they were implemented.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Okay, so we had to get the boundaries together. Then we started dating a little bit here and there. We even talked to a white boy every now and then just to diversify things a little bit, DEI a little bit. But let's talk about you meeting your guy. Talk to me about that experience of like being courted by your guy. And then we'll go from there.
It's so crazy. I think I ended up on Hinge. I probably talked to about 175, 200 guys, where I started to think of it as like a sales game.
Right.
So I ended up talking to about 175, 200 guys. And Ty, who's my now fiance, he was, I think, the second or third person who swiped on me in Hinge, which is, when I think about it, I'm like, this is also divine.
Yeah.
But I I met him. You loved his profile. He had a great profile. It was very thoughtful. And then we did so we had one date, one phone date schedule after we
I forgot about that early benedict partnership, girl. Oh my god, I forgot, girl. I forgot about this part. Okay, yes.
okay, I'll start from we uh so we did all the what I went through the process of the framework that you have. So we talked on that, then we went into text, and then after text we had a phone date schedule. So also I was at a few friends who I met through your program. We had a dinner schedule. And this is where we would get together on like every Tuesday night and we would look at profiles. We would talk about the guys that we're dating. We would just help each other navigate through stuff.
Mm.
And so he called. I forgot. I forgot that I scheduled this. So he called and I was just like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. I'm busy.
Rude for no reason. After y'all had booked that call together.
Yes. Yes. And the sweetest man ever. He's like, it's okay. He was like, just, I hope you don't forget about me. Just text me. I hope you have the best night with your friends. Text me when you're free. I'm like, oh, so sweet. And so After that, we eventually got on the phone within a few days. We had the best conversation ever. We related in so many ways, and from that, we were like, "Let's do a coffee date." So we went to a coffee date. We're both dressed super casual. Our coffee date was great. I could tell he was so nervous, so nervous.
Which, can I just stop? Y'all have to give a deep nervous guys because that means that they give a damn, right? And so a lot of the girls shade the nervous guys because they think, oh, he has no swag, he has no charisma. Like, I need someone with a little bit more confidence. No, the nervous guy means that he's really into you. Yeah, please continue. Go ahead, girl.
And he told me that. He was like, "I was so nervous because you were beautiful, you were smart, you were funny, like you look better in person than you did on the app." And he's like, "I was nervous." And so after our coffee, and he was so intentional. After our phone call, he was like, "I want to see you." I mean, or on the phone, he's like, "I want to see you." Then we get in coffee date. He's like, "When are we having another date?" Like he would not let me leave until the next thing was firmed up. And so after that, I work in entertainment. I love art. I love media. I love storytelling. So he planned a date where he took me to this really cool, like digital AI type of museum. And I was like, "This is so sweet. I love this." Um, yeah. And then after that, all hell broke loose.
Okay, so let's talk about that, girl, because I think you are literally the poster child for you can't say or do the wrong thing for the right man.
Right. Right.
So let's talk about hell breaking loose. And I'm so glad that you're talking
Yeah.
about this because there are a lot of women out here that, like, when something comes up that might be different, that might be something that we didn't expect, or that wasn't what we imagined, that we might reject or not bring attention to it, or what have you. Let's talk about hell breaking loose.
Yeah. So I went to now mind you, and in our first physical date I'm sorry, our second physical date in person, he tells me, "I want to see you again," as he always does. So he starts planning. I go to Art Basel in Miami with my friends. He's still planning. We're trying to coordinate schedules. I come back to New York. I go do a shoot, and at the shoot, I'm like tired. I'm just exhausted. He sends me a text. He's like, "I know you've been working really hard. I'd love to like bring you some food." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I'm thinking he's just gonna send it to my house. I'm like, "Here's my address." I show up. He's in my lobby with takeout for dinner, and I just started to panic. I started to panic. I'm like, "This is a lady who's still used to, in some way, shape, or form, chasing men, having to, having to beg in some way, hoping and wishing for somebody to take care of me." And then it shows up and I just panic. So now I'm trying to like manufacture in my mind, how do I get out of this? Right? I'm thinking he's trying to take away my autonomy. I know it might sound crazy, but hey, it was what I
No,
was gonna do.
no, no.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna lose my independence in this man. I'm not even really into this thing. Like, what does he want? All my brain was just going rogue. And then my mom ends up within like a day or two of this happening. My mom ends up in a mental institution because of her brain injury, and my father, who has cancer, ends up hospitalized with pneumonia. And I'm running my business, and we're closing out all of our projects end of year, and I just spiral. And I call you, and I'm like, "I can't do this." I'm like, "It's just too much. Like dating is now not a priority. I don't
Why?
care."
Of course.
I send him a text, and I'm like, I do my BOL, which is the infamous best of luck message. I'm like, "You're great, but I can't." I give no context. He doesn't know anything. Last he knows is I just brought this girl food after a rough day of work. Like, what did I do wrong? Never remember. He responds back, "Copy, duck,
Girl, feelings hurt, honey. Feelings
hurt,
hurt.
hurt." And I go to Atlanta, and I was there for about a week. And you helped me get through this new crisis with my parents. And I finally get them stabilized. I get my mom out of the hospital, my dad out of the hospital. We have a plan. And then me and you resume back to, okay, well, what's the plan for dating? Because you're like, "Okay, well, we got to get back to it," right? Which is,
I don't
I
play
love
games.
you were so,
I don't play games.
yes, yes. You were like, "You can't like get sucked up in this vortex." Like, right? So then you were like, "You used to call that man back." I was like,
And go on your
"Okay."
apology tour.
So I went on my apology tour. I text him and I said, "Hey, can we talk?" And he was like, "I definitely thought I'd never hear from you again, but absolutely." And then we get on the phone, and you were like, "Make sure you're vulnerable and share like as much as you're comfortable sharing, but be vulnerable with him." and I was vulnerable and I was open. Every time I tell the story, I start crying. But he was like, "It's okay. And I still think you're the most perfect girl I've ever met." And I was just like, "Who are you?
Yeah.
I just like threw you to the wolves after you treated me like a princess and a queen. And just you've been nothing but gracious and kind and merciful towards me. And then I call you on the phone and I tell you the story. And you're like, okay. And I still think you're perfect." And I was like, he definitely deserves at least me to keep trying and showing up and seeing what's there because his characters is it's too phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you for sharing that because I think a lot of women go through that exact thing, right?
Mhm.
And life happens. This is why our programs are a year long to make sure that we take into account that something's going to happen every quarter, right? And that's
Mhm.
okay, right? But we got to keep on moving. But the other thing is we want to give space and opportunity to men that haven't done anything wrong,
Mhm.
right? And it's one of the questions that I ask so often because we all have our own triggers, we're our own situation going on. But did he do anything wrong? Right? And if the answer is no, let's continue to engage. You talked about autonomy and independence, right? And that was a very, very big theme in your journey because maybe, in the past we had
Mhm.
relationships where we didn't feel that way, whether it's parental or otherwise. And that was something that we needed to work through as well, right? And I'm sharing this because I think it's important for people to know that, like, when you're in a relationship, it's the big leagues, right? This isn't JV. This is varsity stuff. Dating is JV stuff. Even though dating is hard, relationships are harder. And so I just want to give you kudos for staying in it when these things were going and coming up for you. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about us getting, holy, y'all been dating for a while now, a good couple months. And we get on a call and you're like, Anwar, Coach Anwar, I don't know. Da 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 da. We were kind of going back and forth. We didn't know about this guy, and maybe we can talk a little bit about some of the doubts that we had later on in the courtship, right? Because that happens for a lot of people as
Yeah.
well. So, what were some of the things that were coming up for you, which are very important and valid?
Yeah. Well, I will have to say, you always knew. I mean, from the beginning.
I said, "Girl, this is your man." You could, what? 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 No, no, it's not. What do you mean? I'm gonna have to pray on that, meditate on that, journal about that. Uh huh. Uh huh.
You always knew, and you would always affirm me in this, and I'd be like, I gotta pray, I gotta meditate, I gotta journal. Because based off what I was used to, every other guy where I was like, he's it, I was not the guy. And I'm trying to reconcile within my mind, like how can he be it if based off patterning in my experience, he ain't it. So the
Mhm.
math is not matching. So it took me like it took months.
Yeah.
It literally took months, and I had to keep showing up and trying and trusting, hey, the people around you, the experts around you, they're seeing something that you can't see. And this is a good man. I can't, he has never, ever, ever. I've known him about a year and a half now. He's never caused me harm. He's never made me cry. He's never made me sad. His entire existence is around servicing me, my comfort, my happiness, my convenience. That I knew it was almost like my body was trying to catch up, or I'm trying to like create a new belief system in real time. Yeah, but I had to be patient with myself and slow down on being so impulsive and just make decisions of like canning him out because I tried again. I tried again. I,
Where we were trying to find anything, right? But a lot of these things were actually quite valid, right? And I want to speak to that, right? Because there was a faith element, right? A spiritual element that we had some questions about, right? We wanted to make sure that he had his own journey and path to his higher power. So that was also something that came up for us that we wanted to work through and talk through. And sounded like you guys had some great conversations around that and some alignment that maybe you didn't know about beforehand and some other things that come up as well. So I want to just offer that a lot of the things that came up were very valid things, right? That we also needed to work through and get clarity around.
yeah, yeah. There was a lot of doubt. The second time I was like, I was a little messy. I like called him before his birthday. It was like a day before or 2 days before Valentine's Day, which is his birthday's before Valentine's Day. I was just like, well, how this not work? Because you're not spiritual, and whatever that means. And
Girl.
I I'm a believer. Having Christ and God at the center of relationships is super important to me. And I remember it was pairing of you and my therapist offering me different perspectives on what it means to be spiritual. Like to be kind, to be patient, to be loving are all fruits of spirit. And I'm like, he's all those things. And like, you were like, Shirley, this man he's trying. He's going to church with you. We started implementing like daily prayers into our life. And I realized it was still like I think what was happening subconsciously is like these doubts. They were growing and growing. I was just becoming really, really fearful and allowing those things to have control and be much more powerful than trusting. But again, y'all helped keep me on course because it would have been another opportunity for me to sabotage if I didn't have y'all. But yeah, I had so many doubts about. I remember I was like, I feel like I should be so much more attracted. I feel like when he walks in a room, I should be like melting. And then you had to guide me on like there's different types of attraction, right? I'm attracted to him. Um, but his mind is brilliant. He's super smart. He's coachable. He's adaptable. He's flexible. So you had to give me different ways of seeing attraction because I've been so conditioned to think like if you don't look like Mufasa, how attractive are you? So
Right.
that was a thing that was now he's a handsome man,
That's what I
but
was
I
about to say, because these girls listening are going to be like, oh no, she got a
oh no, no, no,
no,
no,
girl, this man is
no,
fine, girl. And
no.
that really doesn't have a, I'm going to set them up. Bitch.
But my it was me being challenged on a lot of different beliefs I had around what is attraction, what is spirituality, all these things that I had a wild perspective around. But the coaching helped to ground me and to create new ideas, new beliefs, new perspectives where I could see him and just such beautiful light.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Um, so we get into the relationship,
Mhm.
right? And then, right, because I want to talk a little bit about the relationship. We talk a lot about dating on this show, but I think the relationship is really important. There was a time that, we had had some conversations around, making sure that you felt really comfortable around intimacy. Do you want to speak to kind of how you were thinking about that in your relationship and why?
Yeah, this is another great example around reframing intimacy. Because so I came in saying that I'm not having sex until I get married. And you were like, well, if that's your boundary, that's your choice. Cool. I'll help you. I'll help coach you from that space. Right. So one, we had to do a lot of work on what was my why? Why was I choosing that? So in this, I got to get further connected to like why that was my choice. Um, I realized that my idea of intimacy, physical intimacy, was always sex, just sex. Like I can't make out or sit on his lap or touch without it leading to sex. But in this, like with you and Coach Shoya, you guys helped me to see that there's different types of physical intimacy. How do we just like hold hands and walk down the street without it being about sex? How can we please each other physically without it leading to sex? So I got to play around and try things and test things, and create a whole different perspective about physical intimacy. But it was very, very hard for me to get there. It was very hard for me to be physically and not even talking about sex, but just make out or just sit on his lap or just touch in some sort of way because one, I didn't get that growing up. I didn't see it
Right.
growing up. And every time I did it, it was in the context of sex. It always led to sex. So I was like, I don't know how to do these things without it leading into intercourse. So, the program and the coaching with you and Shoya really helped me to just create new ideas around different types of intimacy and recreate my perspective on physical intimacy. And for him, he was insanely patient. It was hard for him too,
Yes.
and that it made him a lot of times feel unwanted and unsure and just, but we had to keep talking about it and have difficult conversations. And now we're at a place where we've had a slip up.
Well, did it again, Miss Bring Up Jones?
we have fun and we get to play in different types of ways of being physically intimate, but it took months to get there.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that we're talking about this because oftentimes this is about control,
Mm,
right? And we had to kind of work through this a little bit, right? To understand that we feel safe and that we
mhm,
don't need to have our hands on the wheel to drive it, right? When you have a safe driver uh, is accident free and you can just be in the passenger side. You don't have to feel this intense control. We was really derived from maybe some unsafe encounters in the past in relationships or what have you. And so I'm glad that you're talking about this because I think there are a lot of women, specifically Black women, who are also, and I was sharing this with you when we were going through it. You're not alone when it comes to this intimacy and this touch thing. We just don't get touched when we're growing up. So we don't know. We know what's 0, we know what's 100, but we don't know what 30 and 50 and 70 looks like. And the amazing thing about this is that we get to define that for ourselves based on our comfort levels, right? And that's what I think that you were able to do, which is amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good, 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 good. Um, so that has led us to here. It's led us to um you being in this amazing relationship, right? And knowing this man for like a year and a half. Talk to me about what are some of the bigger takeaways that you have gleaned from this program, both the Get Your Guy program, but also the Get Your Ring. This is the relationship program that all of my relationship ladies get into, where we talk and move toward the path of engagement or marriage, if that is your goal. So what were some of those bigger takeaways for you as you think about your time with us?
Uh, Trust the process. Nothing will make sense. Do it anyway. It doesn't make sense. Just do it anyway. If the commitment is to be in a healthy, prosperous, amazing, committed relationship, trust the process. Get surrounded by great coaches who are experienced and whatever I tell you this all the time, whatever you tell me to do, I just go do it. And
Uh-huh.
but
And I love
if
that about you.
I just go do it, even if I don't understand it, if I don't get it. A lot of times I felt like I was blindfolded in a dark room, completely clueless, with you and Coach Julia guiding my hands, and I just had to trust I am on the right path, and I will get everything that I need. I think another big takeaway is boundaries, boundaries, boundaries are designed to protect us and protect the people that we are creating boundaries with. Like I am a boundary lover now. I have
Yeah.
boundaries in family, boundaries in business, boundaries within the relationship. And me and Ty talk about this. One of the reasons why he respects me so much and he takes action now is because of my boundaries.
Yes,
He
ma'am.
loves it. He loves it, loves it, loves it. I think those are the two biggest takeaways. Is like trust the process, trust the coaching, and honor and respect the boundaries.
Yeah, I love that. You've name checked Coach Shoya a couple times in this process. And I want to, because a lot of people come into the book and thinking, oh my God, I'm just going to meet with Coach Anwar. And we have an amazing team here that gets the girls together. So can you just talk a little bit about Coach Shoya and your experience with her? Because I think you were maybe one of the ladies that was like, she got on, you're like, you're not Anwar.
Oh yeah, she got on her one. I mean, first of all, before I say this, that woman is brilliant and just so smart, so amazing, laser sharp. Like
Yeah.
whatever you give her, she got something for it. She is good.
And she
All time.
coached you down, girl. She coached you down. Sometimes she would be telling me what y'all sessions were, because Coach Roy and I talk every day, and be like, girl, this is brilliant work.
So good, so
Yeah.
good. But I loved you, Anwar. I wanted you. And then I got on a call one day and I didn't know Coach. I didn't know about her brilliance yet. She got on and I was like, oh no, I want Anwar. Well, I said other things, but I was like, bottom line, I want Anwar. And then we talked about it. But I remember Ty was like, wait, how many dating coaches do you have? I was like, trust me, I need all of them.
Uh-huh.
Just know they out here doing you a good service. Having her perspective, she so I'm a believer, she's a believer too. So she talks to me in parables. She talks to me in analogy, which is very much like a Jesus way of doing things.
Right.
And like I'm like, oh, got it. Okay, cool. So soft, so gentle, very, very like girl, super
Right.
relatable. But I love Coach Joy. And because she supports so many couples, she's able to coach me from that place as
That's
if
right.
I am me and Ty are this successful, thriving couple. So she holds us there and gives us coaching from that place, which I love.
Yeah, she's amazing. The whole team is
Yeah.
amazing. And we always believe that in this program, for our VIPs, we have two coaches, myself and another coach that you're really going to focus all of your work with, right? And we work with you together to make sure that you're getting the best possible experience and coaching that is available. So it's not just me, but it's another amazing coach that is going to help you on your journey for any of the ladies that are listening and thinking about this process for themselves. Any final words, Shirley? Anything you want to share for anyone that is, thinking about this, has been on the fence, or, any other things you want to share about your experience before we go?
I mean, as far as me, when my 6 months was up and get your ring, I called you like, "But can't we just extend? What? What? I don't want to leave. We got to figure out what's next for you, so I can stay on retainer. I can just roll over and for the next thing."
Girl, you are a mess, girl, a mess. Yes. Yeah.
No, but for that's anybody that's on the fence or interested, I don't. It is literally like a no brainer. I don't get it. Like I talk to my friends all the time, and I'm like, "Did you call Anwar? Did you call Anwar?" Like, and you said it earlier. In order for us to get different, you have to do different. And the biggest and best investment you can make is the investment you make in yourself. And you gotta do different. Good coaching is counterintuitive and will not make sense. Do it anyway.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Shirley, we're excited for this wedding, for this development, for this growth that you have experienced, will experience. Coach Shirley and I will be the ring bearer and the flower girl, and we will go from there. No, I'm kidding. But with a sincere congratulations to not just this engagement, because that's really just the icing on top, it's the cherry on top. It's really about becoming the woman that is ready for that, which has been a journey, right? And it is a
Yes.
very difficult one that I want to just honor and say, you and everyone else out there at the end of the day. And so I want to congratulate that. Yeah. So happy for you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
so welcome. You're so welcome.
thank you.
All right, ladies. You heard it from Shirley herself. She got her guy. She's rocking on. If you're interested in doing this work as well, please, 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 please book a consultation call, and we'll see if it's a good fit for both of us. Shirley, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing your story.
Thank you, Coach Anwar.
You're so welcome. All right, ladies. I hope that you are inspired. I hope that you are motivated, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye bye.